Hello everyone, welcome to my very first YouTube video. I'm Konika Rani Sarkar, a student of Civil and Environmental Engineering at Shahjalal University of Science and Technology. In today's video, we're going to cover a very important topic from our course, Principles of Economics. This is Chapter 1, Demand, Supply and Equilibrium. And I'll be focusing on one of the most important parts of this chapter, elasticity of demand and supply. So, formally, elasticity is the measure of responsiveness of one variable to a change in another variable. Then we have elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand is the degree of responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a commodity to a change in its price, income, or the price of related goods. Elasticity of supply is the degree of responsiveness of the quantity supplied of a commodity to a change in its price. There are four types of elasticity. First, price elasticity of demand. Second, income elasticity of demand. Third, cross elasticity of demand. And lastly, price elasticity of supply. Here we have the graphical illustration of demand elasticity. First of all, there is price elasticity of demand. This is the most common type. It shows how sensitive demand is to a change in price. The demand is said to be perfectly elastic when a small rise in price would result in a fall in demand to zero, while a small fall in price results in demand to be infinite. Therefore, it is also known as infinite elasticity. This can be shown by a straight line demand curve parallel to the horizontal axis. In the figure, the x-axis shows the quantity demanded and the y-axis shows the price. DD curve is the demand curve. The initial demand at price P is Q units. When the price is slightly decreased, it leads to an increase in demand by a large amount, that is Q1. It shows a perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly inelastic demand. When demand doesn't change with change in price, the demand is said to be perfectly inelastic. It implies that the demand remains constant for any value of the price. In the graph, we can see as the price increases from P to P1, there is no effect on the quantity demanded. It remains constant at initial value Q. This implies that the demand is perfectly inelastic. Then the demand can be said unitary elastic when the percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to the percentage change in price. In the graph, as the price increases from P to P1, the quantity demanded decreases from Q to Q1 by an equal proportion. It implies that the demand is unitary elastic. That means the value of elasticity here is 1. Relatively elastic demand occurs when a proportionate change in demand is greater than the proportionate change in price. It means that there will be a greater change in demand due to a small change in price. Here in the graph, we can see the change in price is less than the change in quantity demanded. Therefore, it can be said as relatively elastic demand. The demand can be said as relatively inelastic demand when a proportionate change in quantity demanded is less than proportionate change in price. It means that the greater change in price leads to a smaller change in demand. As the price increases to P1, the quantity demanded falls to Q1. Here, the change in price is more than the change in quantity demanded. Therefore, it shows relatively inelastic demand. Next, we have income elasticity of demand. This shows how demand changes when your income changes. The income elasticity of demand can be said as high if the proportionate change in quantity demanded is greater than the proportionate change in price. Therefore, it can be regarded as positive income elasticity. Commodities with positive income elasticity of demand are normal goods. When the percent change in quantity demanded is equal to the percent change in income, it can be said as unitary income elasticity. If the percent change in quantity demanded is less than the percent change in income, it can be regarded as low income elasticity. It can be said as zero income elasticity when there is no change in quantity demanded with respect to change in income. And finally, there is negative income elasticity of demand. It refers to the situation where an increase in income leads to a fall in the quantity demanded. The income elasticity is negative, particularly for inferior goods. Lastly, we have cross elasticity of demand. This measures how demand for one good changes when the price of another good changes. The value of cross-price elasticity is positive for substitute goods and it is negative for complementary goods. So the next topic is supply elasticity. We know that quantity supplied is a function of price, ceteris paribus. That means keeping other variables constant. So the elasticity of supply is measured through this formula, which is ES is equal to dQs divided by dP times P divided by QS. There are 5 types of elasticity of supply. First, there is perfectly inelastic supply, for which the value of elasticity is 0. That means due to any change in price, the quantity supplied won't change at all. Next, we have inelastic supply. Here, the percent change in price is greater than the percent change in quantity supplied. That's why the value of elasticity is greater than 0 but less than 1. Unitary elastic supply means the percent change in price is equal to percent change in quantity supplied. For this, the value of elasticity is 1. Then we have elastic supply. For this, the change in price is less than the change in quantity supplied. That's why the value of elasticity is less than infinity but greater than 1. And lastly, there is perfectly elastic supply. The value of elasticity for this is infinity. That means the quantity supplied will keep increasing even if the price remains constant. Now let's move on to the last part of our discussion, how elasticity is measured. There are 2 main approaches, point elasticity and arc elasticity. Point elasticity measures elasticity at a specific point on the demand curve. The formula for point elasticity is elasticity equals del Q divided by del P times P divided by Q. For point elasticity, the slope is constant all over the curve. Now let's have a look at arc elasticity. Unlike point elasticity, arc elasticity measures elasticity between 2 points on the curve, or over a range of prices and quantities. The formula is elasticity equals dq divided by dp times p divided by q. For arc elasticity, the slope changes along the curve. So the key difference between point elasticity and arc elasticity is point elasticity is the exact measurement at one specific point on the curve, and arc elasticity is the average measurement between 2 points on the curve. So basically here is the detailed measurement of arc elasticity and point elasticity. For arc elasticity, elasticity is equal to percent change in dependent variable divided by percent change in independent variable. We know that quantity demanded is a function of price, etc. variables. So, percent change in quantity demanded divided by percent change in price equals elasticity. And lastly, point elasticity. Point elasticity of demand is measured by the formula, which is lower segment divided by upper segment. Here we can see the elasticity of different points on a linear demand curve. So thank you for watching. If this helped you, don't forget to like, share and subscribe.